Network Narrative is a project involving Fact, Whole Library Service, Lancashire County Council and Wigan's Inspiring Healthy Lifestyles, inviting young individuals from Burnley, Wigan and Hull to collaborate with artists to create an artwork.
Text Adventure Time is the first online commission for Network Narratives. Because it was a digital online commission, I wanted to create a text adventure game. Text adventure games were really popular in the 80s when the graphics cards couldn't catch up with the speed of the processor. So I mean games where you interact with the computer through language.
We started by interviewing a number of artists, and Readout was really the one that stood out to us because they proved to us that for them the project was more than just taking their own idea and getting the funding for that. Their idea was to include us in it and to make us feel like it was our project.
Readout is an arts collective based in Liverpool and Manchester. There's 4 of us and we work primarily with technology but in a stealthy way.
Their idea was it would be an online-based choose-your-own-adventure game, and it would involve the myths and legends of our own towns and cities.
The text is used to describe your environment, and the text kind of dictates what actions you can take.
Well, we've come here to the Smiling Wolf Design Studio and we've been discussing names for the project and taglines.
Today we came to ArtLink on Prince's Ave to do a workshop on map making and world building in general for our Text Adventure Time game. The very first thing we did before starting any of the activities today was that we used the survey results that we'd done online that were sent out in the emails to all of the participants, and we used those to create a world that we sort of had set rules for, that we had to sort of abide by and sort of let our imagination flow within those confines.
So today we've been doing blue mapping, which is a really interesting way of taking a different view of familiar spaces and familiar experiences. Part of the aim is to make them reframe their existing understanding of cities and spaces. So it's going to give them a lot of imaginative fuel.
We was going round with a big balloon with pro cameras on it, and we was recording, and we was gonna see what it was like mapping with them. It was in like a little case, little square case, and we had to put it in that, and then it would hold it like a hot air balloon away, but it was different. It was full of helium, the balloon, and it had like a little basket, and we put the camera in there.
We went out to Mains Park and we strolled around. There's some nice bandstands, there were local kids around there, so we got some nice footage.
So today was world making, and mostly we were using maps and playing around with different creative approaches to making maps. They've split the city into east and west, and then they've created 2 kind of rival but sometimes collaborative business empires. One that's exploring robotics, the other genetic modification, and a whole kind of caste system based on age as well. So that'll be the basis of the stories that they write, which will turn into interactive games.
We also designed a big map on the floor of Hull where we cut up little parts of maps, and then we made buildings out of paper cups. Some of the buildings we made are Future Genetics, CTC, Cyborg Training Centre.
And designed our own map based around sort of a pentagram kind of deal. And it's not massively subtle, but it's not really noticeable unless you can look at the city from above. But all of the important locations are on each tip of the pentagram, and the actual pentagram itself is covering a fairly large section of the city. And we've managed to split the city in half, just like the real city, where the river is splitting them literally in half.
We decided what genre we're gonna specialise the story in. We decided on using a dystopian future with some sort of big natural or man-made disaster that had changed everything.
West Hull is where all of our robotics companies are and all of the generally richer and more upper class people live. And there's less need for like industry and factories run by people because robots do most of the work. And on East Hull we had a separate sort of situation where the bioengineers are working.
The different cities are doing different, concentrating on different aspects. In Hull they're concentrating on the mutants and the bioengineered creatures. I think over in Wigan they've got more robots being built and stuff, but there's kind of elements that overlap across the three cities, so it's come across really well. So we had some of the kids in and a couple of the artists, and yeah, it was the first session where they actually started taking the ideas that they'd had previously and actually building them into the text adventure game that's going to be the final product. They're using a thing called Twine, which is a really simple program for making the old style text adventure games.
My role is to come in sort of towards the end and put the game together from all of the materials that they've generated during the session. This project file is a sort of compilation of all the stories that all the young people have written. So each of these little blocks is an individual kind of character arc. You can choose a city, choose a character, and then hopefully see that character's story through to the end. And you'll get a different ending depending on how many characters you've successfully taken through their mission.
The libraries have been venues for the sessions, especially in Hull, and have given library staff an opportunity to engage with young people who might not have been in our spaces before. To see them commissioning artists to work has given them an experience that they probably never had before.
For Wigan, it's been about working with the communities and the spaces that are there within the borough, such as the Wigan Youth Zone, the Old Court and library services. I think as well it's about enabling and empowering young people.
There is a definite lower engagement in the arts, but out of that and out of depravity is where real art comes from, I think, so we've got some real strong stuff.
The name for the text adventure game is called Northern Powerhouse Last Town Standing.